Sean, Carl Jones, and being 2 weeks in a row now, Xavier's had to miss significant time. Is there thoughts to sitting him down for a while as well?
Yeah, there is. They're both getting MRIs today, so we'll know more later this afternoon than we know now. But it didn't look at the time that it's something that they might be able to come back off of immediately. It looks like it might take a little bit of time, but we'll see what the MRI says.
Curtis, that was just a spur of the moment kind of cold flu kind of deal, or is this something else?
No, it had to do more with sickness than any type of physical injury, and so that was tough on us. In that he tried to play, had a few plays, but just could not go.
Yeah, but looking ahead, you think that's something that's isolated to this weekend?
With him?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Being a flu or
yeah,
kind of bug.
I expect he'll be at 100% for this next game.
Last week you mentioned Crutcher and Purdom, two guys that might be losing the red shirts. Are there any other people that will be put on the active roster and lose the red shirt that you had intended to before the season?
No, Crutcher would be the only one that's still a possibility at this point.
Coach, it seems like your defense has played a lot better at home than they have on the road. Is there anything to that, or is that just the competition that you guys have faced on the road?
Well, I think it has to do with that. You look at New Mexico State. They really had an excellent throwing quarterback. He got hurt not long after they played Minnesota and beat Minnesota at Minnesota, and that hurt them in terms of what their football team's about. You look at Rutgers; they beat Pitt fairly handily this past week, and I think that makes our effort against Rutgers even more of a positive than anything else, and because that's a game that if we get a couple bounces our way, if we play a little bit better at a point in time when it was real crucial, who knows? It certainly was not a game that was not winnable, and in this last game, it's a good Buffalo football team. They played well. We just didn't have everybody we would have liked to have had to be in the game, and so I think that probably has more to do with it than anything else. This past game we just didn't have everybody, and you lose half your football team defensively, it's going to show. Against Rutgers, we played fairly well. Even though they got yards and points, we were still in the ball game, and so I don't know if that answers your question, because it didn't even answer it for me.
Go back and look at the film, that 90-yard touchdown play. I guess two things. Did he? Some folks told me he may have stepped out of bounds, and then secondly, what did you see on film that let you know how that play happened in the first place?
Well, number one, he may have stepped out of bounds.
Should have been reviewed, at least in your opinion?
Yes.
The other thing, how does a play like that happen?
We let the receiver on the swing route break containment. Generally you want to keep a cup going, but we allowed him outside of our containment guy, and once that happened, it was it's a pretty quick hitting play with a lot of width, and if you get outside the contained man, your inside pursuit doesn't have a great deal of time to become a factor in the play. It's a play we've seen.
You've seen a lot.
Yeah,
You've seen a lot more too.
Yeah, we've seen it a lot, and we've defended it well at times, and obviously we've run it a lot and have gotten a lot of mileage out of it. So it's a tough play to stop if you got an inside running game. Some teams will do it off a play action pass and dump it out there real quick, which freezes your backers even more.
Tyler threw just his second pick of the season. How has he walked in as his first year as a starter and redshirt sophomore, played probably years above what his game experience is?
His composure. You know, I think it all starts there. If you don't have great composure and belief in yourself and carry yourself the right way, you're going to have difficulties as a young quarterback. You'll have difficulties as an old quarterback if you don't have composure and carry yourself in a manner that your teammates have confidence in you. And I think Tyler has all of that, and certainly has the confidence of his teammates. You know, never gets down on himself or another player. Always thinking of the next play, bouncing back, physically tough. Our players see him take the kind of hits that a running back takes sometimes, and that's kind of hits that sometimes would put a guy out of a game, and he finds a way to stay in the game. And so all that's appreciated by the players around him, so that sparks them into playing better football, and then he plays with just great composure.
Has his play surprised even you?
Well, until a player steps up and does it, you know, you're just never quite sure. But all the signs leading up to him starting this year were positive in terms of the kind of year that he could have. And you know, we're thankful it played out that way. It's never automatic, but you know, you look at his time spent here, you look at his dedication through the off season. You look at spring ball. You look at fall camp. That all were strong pluses for him, and so it just all moved on over into game action.
How did Jeff King hold up playing for the first time this year on Saturday?
Okay, he got many more snaps than we had hoped, and you know, obviously he doesn't have the speed and quickness, but he's got a great heart, and he has excellent strength, and he utilized those two things as well as he could.
So he's going to remain in the mix then, that defensive tackle where you guys are thin.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about Ball State and what kind of challenge they're going to be.
Well, they're a team offensively that has shown they've got good ability to put points on the board. Always that stems from your quarterback. You know, they have a young quarterback also, but he's playing well beyond his years. An excellent thrower. It looks like an excellent leader for him. They try to get a good ground game going to help the throwing game. They will use a two-back offense at times with a tight end lining up as a fullback or motioning to an offset position of a fullback and running a lot of what would be a traditional power type of stuff. But they do have the ability to spread you out and utilize receivers and their quarterbacks' throwing ability with just drop back kind of action. Defensively, they're not a really big team. You know, across the front, we've faced certainly a lot bigger teams, but they move well. And you know, their backers are all experienced backers. You know, they're senior backers, and they're all 220 to 230 range backers. So they're physically a very good group. And then in the secondary, they have a mixture of some old and some new. And it seems to be a good working combination for them. They've played a very, very tough schedule. And so obviously some of their stats would be misleading at this point in time in terms of where they rank in the conference and where they rank in the country stat-wise. So we pay no attention to that going into this game. We just know that they play hard. They look like they got good athletes. And I think it's going to be another MAC football game where anybody can win it. And, you know, that's the thing about our conference. And if you get a few lucky bounces, if you are fortunate enough to stay healthy going through, you've got your best shot at it. You know, we still have a shot at everything. You know, and I like the effort that our guys give. That we're not true starters that ended up playing most of the time in the game, especially those guys up front, and so we've got good enough personnel and good enough people surrounding those people that we can win football games. So we're looking forward to the game, looking forward to being homecoming. Hope we have a great crowd. I know our guys will be ready to play.
Are you planning on making any defensive adjustments as far as, you know, schemes or personnel this weekend after giving up so many yards last week?
Well, we can't make too many adjustments personnel-wise because there's just nobody to make them with. And as far as schemes go, yeah, we'll do a few things differently. And again, I think statistics can be very, very misleading, you know, and you know, we had well over 400 yards against them, and they didn't have injuries. You know, according to their coach, it's been a great year for them in terms of health, and so it was an offensive football game for both units, and we had our chances to win that thing right at the end. So I don't think that you just all of a sudden throw away what you're doing and try to start anew. I think there's a lot of good there, and we can find ways of winning football games with the group that we got. There's no question about that.
When you look at Ball State, the last 2 weeks have been really rough. Is it tougher to lose those types of games or to lose a game like you guys did where it's a 1-point deal?
You know, I don't know. I hate losses, period. You know, this one, if you're not careful, can be real tough to come off of. But I think our players will be able to do that. You know, if you go into a game and you're 4 or 5 touchdown underdogs and you get beat by 4 or 5 or 6 touchdowns, you know, it's what it is. And but if you go into a game expecting to win, knowing that it's a very, very close ball game, and you don't quite get it done, and you turn on the film and you see a lot of little things that happen that could have made the difference, those are harder to take. Those are games where you know you don't sleep that well after it for a couple days. And the other one, if you play in Oklahoma and you don't make them look like they're the 80th team in the country instead of the first or second or third, then you know, you can probably live with that a little bit and move on. And this one's tougher to move on, but that's what we got to do.